Discover the life-changing day when a little girl's heartwarming request touched a CEO's soul. Ella's smile was brighter than the summer sun, the kind that can only come from a heart filled with hope. She lived in a little suburban town that needed a spark of joy, and with her beloved sketchbook tucked under her arm, she spread cheer wherever she went. Drawn to the idea of a playground where laughter rang free, the sweet 10-year-old dreamed of a haven for children, a safe space away from the shadows of hardship that lingered around her neighborhood. Ella's mother, Sarah, worked tirelessly as a waitress to hold their lives together, often turning the worry of their tight budget into an invisible shield of resilience. With gentle hands, Sarah crafted dishes with love and served customers with a smile, but beneath the surface, she fought an uphill battle against the tightening grip of financial insecurity. Yet somehow, Ella couldn't feign despair. Her spirit lit up the room and her eyes sparkled with dreams that felt contagious. For her school project, Ella targeted the seemingly aloof Mr. Thompson, the CEO of a tech company that towered over their town. Known for his sharp business acumen and philanthropic efforts, his cold demeanor made him feel like a distant star, yet Ella believed he was the key to building her playground. The charity gala he hosted was the perfect stage for her pitch. As she stepped into the extravagant ballroom, the dazzling lights illuminated the lavish decorations and a feast that beckoned wealth and privilege. Ella's heart raced like a drum as the ambience weighed heavily on her shoulders, a contrasting reminder of the life she and her friends lived. With every step toward Mr. Thompson, hope battled doubt in her chest. "Mr. Thompson," Ella said, her voice quaking but resolute. "I want to talk to you about my dream for a playground in our community." His furrowed brow softened just a bit as her sincerity seeped through the corporate walls he had built around himself. He listened, transported back to the whispers of his own childhood filled with laughter and dreams, a time when he felt the warmth of friendship and community. But just as quickly, he was pulled back by the weight of demands from his boardroom. Profits took precedence over people. Ella's innocent passion brushed against his hardened exterior, igniting memories he had buried. The little girl stood there, her bright eyes glimmering with unyielding belief, and it struck a chord deep within him. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." The gala buzzed with chatter, but Mr. Thompson's mind was consumed. He felt torn between cold corporate realities and warm human connection. Ella's dream was more than just bricks and swings, it was a reflection of a collective hope, a fight for belonging that he had forgotten. As he glanced at Ella, he knew the decision hung in the air, a chance to steer his legacy toward compassion. He inhaled deeply, steeling himself to take the microphone, aware that both their destinies rested on the fragile moment ahead. Would he heed the call of a child's dream and awaken his own? The room grew silent, anticipation swirling like a thick fog around them, waiting for a choice that could change everything. Mr. Thompson's heart pounded in rhythm with the silence. He felt eyes on him, each gaze heavy with expectation. The elegant chandelier above flickered slightly, as if echoing the uncertainty swirling in his mind. He stared at Ella, her tiny frame filled with giant dreams seemed to illuminate the room. Taking a deep breath, he stepped to the front of the stage. The microphone felt cold against his hands, but he gripped it tighter, grounding himself. The ballroom, usually a place of power and prestige, transformed into a sacred space, a threshold into vulnerability. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, his voice steady but softer than he intended. "Tonight I want to talk about something very dear to me, something I haven't spoken about in a long time." The crowd hushed, a ripple of confusion crossed their faces. Ella watched him intently, hope dancing in her chest. She had worked so hard to summon the courage for this moment. It was as if her heart was tethered to his words, waiting for him to pull it into the light. What this little girl has reminded me, he continued, is that amidst all our business dealings and corporate successes, we cannot forget the essence of community. We are more than just a bottom line, we are part of a larger tapestry that deserves to be nurtured. The murmurs in the room began to swell, the curiosity gripping the audience, a contrast to the carefully crafted rhetoric they were used to hearing. Mr. Thompson felt alive, invigorated by the truth pouring from him. Ella has a dream for a playground, a place for children to laugh, to play, and to feel safe, and I want to make that dream a reality. Gasps of surprise echoed off the walls. The chatter grew louder, disbelief mingling with excitement. Mr. Thompson's gaze remained fixed on Ella, her eyes wide, mirroring the joy and shock circling through the crowd. I am pledging a donation, he proclaimed, to turn her dream into a project we can all be part of, to create a playground that reflects the joy and strength of our community. Ella's heart soared. She could hardly believe it, this was the moment she had been hoping for, yet it felt so surreal. Tears pricked her eyes, blurring her view of the man who had shifted the trajectory of her dream with simple words. As applause erupted around them, Mr. Thompson stepped down from the stage and approached Ella. There was vulnerability in his smile, a man unveiled from the burdens of his corporate armor. "Thank you," Ella whispered, her voice steady despite the emotion swelling inside her. They stood together amid the celebration, the laughter of the gala now a backdrop to the dreams that intertwined before them. In the warmth of the moment, a connection blossomed. Mr. Thompson, once a distant figure of influence, had become a collaborator in hope. But as the clinking glasses and joyful chatter surrounded them, there lingered a question in the air. Would this newfound partnership be enough to heal the dividing lines in their community? Just then, as Ella and Mr. Thompson shared their laughter, the heavy thud of uncertainty echoed within. What other challenges awaited them on this journey, and could they bring others along to share in the joy that now felt so near? The dance of possibility began, stirring the winds of change. Ella felt a shiver run down her spine, a whisper of more challenges to come. What would they face next? Would their united efforts truly change the lives of those around them? The story of their journey had just begun, and each chapter promised to unveil deeper truths. Would the community rise up, or would they resist the tide of transformation? The answers lay ahead. Ella stood by Mr. Thompson, her joy mingling with disbelief. The applause echoed in her ears, each clapping hand reinforcing the fragile belief that sometimes, dreams could come true. She could see families mingling in the room, the laughter and chatter blending into a symphony of hope. She didn't want to lose this moment. "What do we do now?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The excitement in her chest bubbled close to overflowing, but she needed a plan. Mr. Thompson gazed into her eyes, the warmth of his gratitude reflected in his smile. "Now, we share your dream with the community," he replied, a spark of determination igniting within him. "I want to involve everyone, parents, kids, local businesses. Your vision belongs to all of them, too." She nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility shifting onto her small shoulders. But what if they don't like it? What if they don't want a playground? The thought loomed large, unfurling in her mind like a dark cloud of doubt. His expression softened. "That's a risk we'll take. Change is always a little scary. But you've already proven that a dream can spark excitement. Together, we'll bring this vision to life." The words hung in the air, igniting something deep within her. She could feel her small heart pounding, aligned with his big ambitions. "Okay. Let us do it," she exclaimed, her fingers wrapping enthusiastically around the cuffs of her dress. With that, they turned toward the audience, and Mr. Thompson took the microphone again. "We're going to set up a community meeting. We want everyone to have a say in the playground's design, to ensure it's a true reflection of our values and needs." Cheers erupted from the crowd, a wave of excitement rising and crashing through the ballroom. Ella could see faces nodding, smiles brightening the room. For the first time, she felt like she could be a leader, that maybe her ideas mattered. As they proceeded with the evening, Ella was swept into conversations, sharing ideas and listening to stories about what a playground could mean for families. The energy in the room was palpable. But underneath all the joy was a persistent undercurrent of apprehension. Would they truly rally together? Would they sweep aside any disagreements that lingered? She glanced at Mr. Thompson, who was engaging with a group of parents. Their dreams would reveal itself. The days dragged on, each one heavier than the last. Ella's excitement about the playground mingled painfully with her anxiety about the upcoming community meeting. With each sunrise, she felt her stomach twist tighter, as if a knot of dread had taken residence there. Her mother tried to keep the atmosphere light, filling their home with laughter and the warmth of freshly baked treats, but every smile seemed layered with the unspoken concern that loomed over them both. "Everything will work out," her mother would say, but Ella's mind raced with scenarios that played out like scenes from a worry-filled movie. The night before the meeting was especially restless. Ella lay in bed, counting the hours until she would face a crowd of familiar, yet intimidating, faces. The clock ticked on, amplifying her unease with every passing moment. Morning arrived, gloomy and gray, almost as if the sky mirrored her emotions. Ella dressed in her favorite dress, a bright blue that brought out her eyes, hoping a splash of color might shake away the unease. "You look beautiful, sweetheart," her mother said, her voice bright and reassuring. "Remember, every great change starts with boldness. Just be yourself." With her heart pounding, they made their way to the community center. A buzz of preparation filled the room, as chairs were set up, and families trickled in. The familiar scent of popcorn hung in the air, a comforting reminder of simpler times spent with friends. But today felt different. Ella's fingers tapped nervously against her thigh as she surveyed the attendees. She spotted Adam, her best friend. His broad grin was infectious enough to chase some anxiety away. "You're going to do great," he said, giving her a thumbs up, but Ella could see the slight crease of uncertainty in his brow. It was as if he too felt the weight of the atmosphere. Minutes before the meeting began, Mr. Thompson called the gathered crowd to attention. His presence anchored Ella. He stood tall, his warm demeanor promising that everything would be all right. "Thank you all for coming today. We have something extraordinary to discuss," he pronounced, his voice braiding excitement with authority. Ella took a deep breath, her heart pounding in rhythm with her thoughts. This was her moment. She stepped forward, clutching her notes tightly, and took the microphone from Mr. Thompson. A rush of anticipation washed over the room. "Hi, everyone," she began, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. "I'm Ella. I've dreamt of a playground for our community, a place where kids can play, dream, and explore together." As she shared her vision, the crowd listened. She spoke of swings that danced in the breeze, slides that spiraled like rainbows, and spots to gather and create memories. The vivid images filled the air, bringing hope to the room like colors spilling from a painter's brush. But as Ella spoke, she noticed the mixed expressions in the audience. Some nodded, while others whispered. A shiver of worry crept back in. Would they understand? Would her dream resonate? When she finished, the applause was muted. A voice from the back called out hesitantly, "What about the costs? How can we afford this?" Ella's heart sank. She'd been so caught up in her excitement that she hadn't prepared for opposition. But Mr. Thompson stepped in. "Great question. We've been exploring funding options." He navigated the crowd's concerns with ease, addressing each question like a seasoned captain steering a ship through turbulent waters. His calm reassured Ella. She felt the warmth of support wrap around her like a soft blanket. Then Adam stood. "We need this for our kids. Imagine how fun it'll be. People will want to help." His voice rang out with the enthusiasm of a friend making a heartfelt plea, stirring nods and murmurings of approval throughout the room. Hope began to replace doubt. Ella smiled, feeling the swell of community rising. As questions and ideas bounced like a ping-pong match, Ella realized she was not alone in her dream. More than fear, the sense of unity blossomed. It felt right. But with the rush of empowerment came something else, a realization of what was at stake. This dream she nurtured could slip away in an instant if she couldn't reassure the crowd. Ella took a deep breath, looking out over the crowd. What if we did this together? As the voices started to build with dialogue, tension shifted. The room buzzed with an energy that felt electric. What would come of this discussion? Could this become the community gathering she envisioned? And suddenly, another worry arose: was she truly ready to take the lead, come what may? The chatter in the room crescendoed, a wave of energy washing over Ella like the warm sunlight breaking through clouds. She could feel her heart racing, but instead of fear, a spark of determination ignited within her. She carefully scanned the faces before her. Some looked skeptical, others intrigued, and a few even hopeful. When the questions started to subside, Ella took a small step forward, emboldened by the support of her neighbors and friends. What about a bake sale? She suggested, her voice gaining strength. We could raise money with an event. Adam chimed in, nodding vigorously. We've had success with that before. We can make it a community fest: games, food, and a bake-off. Everyone would love to help. Excitement bubbled around her, igniting conversations that were lively and encouraging. Ideas flew around like shooting stars, and Ella felt herself riding the wave of enthusiasm. Each suggestion, local businesses, sponsorships, and even fundraisers at school, added more color to her vision of the playground. As the discussion continued, Ella's worries began to fade. She felt the weight on her shoulders lift. This is community, she thought. This is what it means to support one another. Then, from the back corner, Mrs. Jensen raised her hand. A retired teacher and always a voice of wisdom, she smiled warmly as she spoke. Ella, you've inspired us all, but let us also remember to involve our kids in this journey. Let them contribute ideas on what they want in their playground. Ella's heart swelled. It made perfect sense. Yes. Let us host a day where kids can draw what they want on a huge banner. We'll make it a part of our campaign. The room buzzed again as parents nodded in agreement. The conversation shifted seamlessly into planning, with more voices joining in, offering to help with logistics, create flyers, and connect with local businesses. Ella felt buoyed by this wave of unity. The dream no longer felt too big, it felt possible. But soon, there was a pause. Mr. Thompson raised his hand again, clearing his throat. Before we get ahead of ourselves, we need to think about the budget more concretely. How do we estimate the costs? The playground isn't just a wish, it's an investment. Ella's stomach tightened again. Budget? Would the exciting ideas just fall flat against cold, hard numbers? Adam, noticing her unease, leaned over. Hey, it's okay, he whispered, you've already inspired them. They're invested now. They'll back you. Ella took a deep breath, reminding herself of the community surrounding her. The kindness, the warmth, and the eager faces filled her with renewed hope. She nodded, ready to face the next challenge. What if we held a town meeting to gather more ideas around funding? It makes sense to involve everyone. The murmurs grew again, but this time with enthusiasm. Ideas flew around the room once more, suggestions from various corners, fueled by optimism and a shared purpose. Just then, a tall man at the back stood up. It was Mr. Anderson, the CEO of a local company. Ella was caught off guard as he smiled, his voice resonating through the crowd. I've been listening to all of you, and I believe in this dream too. I'd like to donate to start things off. Gasps echoed throughout the room, followed by clapping and shouts of astonishment. Ella's heart raced as she processed his words. To have such a prominent figure support them was monumental. This wasn't just about the playground anymore, it was about creating connections, inspiring hope, and building a future. But as her excitement reached its peak, another part of her consciousness whispered fear. What if the reality of fundraising overwhelmed them? What if the donations didn't keep coming? Excited chatter filled the room, yet Ella felt a deeper worry gnawing within her. Could they truly maintain this momentum? The stakes had grown higher than she ever imagined. Ella looked around at her community, her friends, and the faces of those joining her cause. Her heart pounded with purpose as she uttered softly, "What happens when we turn those dreams into reality?" Together? The energy shifted, a blend of anticipation and determination spiraling through the group. The challenge lay ahead, and Ella could almost see the playground taking shape in the collective imagination. But could they keep their dreams alive? With that question lingering in the air, the meeting buzzed on, the night still young and full of possibilities. Ella's journey was just beginning, and the path ahead promised both challenges and hope. Would she have what it took to lead her community toward their shared vision? The next meeting was scheduled for a week later, and the excitement hung in the air. Ella could barely sleep the night before. She felt a fierce blend of nerves and anticipation coursing through her. It was unusual for her to be the center of attention, yet she couldn't ignore how the idea of the playground had become a spark that lit everyone's imagination. The community center buzzed with laughter and chatter as families gathered. There was a sense of purpose in the air, something palpable that made Ella feel alive. She entered the room, instantly grounding herself in the idea that she was not alone in this. The faces that greeted her were familiar yet filled with a new energy that inspired her to stand tall. As the meeting began, Ella stood at the front, flanked by Adam and a few other supporters. She took a deep breath and opened her notes. "Welcome, everyone. I'm so happy to see all your smiling faces. Let us dive into how we plan to turn our dream into a reality." She shared the ideas that had emerged: the bake sale, a family picnic, and the kids' drawing day. Every suggestion was met with enthusiasm, and even a few new ones were added. A local bakery owner, Mrs. Choi, volunteered to help with desserts for the bake sale, and some neighborhood kids suggested organizing a mini talent show to raise funds. Each time someone shared an idea, Ella's heart swelled with hope. Yet, amid all those happy voices, she couldn't shake off her underlying fear. What if they didn't raise enough money? Halfway through the meeting, Mr. Thompson, usually a voice of reason, raised a hand. "Everyone, let us not forget one critical element: communication. We need to keep everyone in the loop, from our sponsors to the families participating." Ella hesitated, feeling the weight of it all. How do we ensure that everyone stays updated and involved? Adam leaned in, whispering reassuringly, "We can use social media. Create a page or group. It's an easy way to keep everyone engaged." As the group discussed different methods of communication, Ella's thoughts turned to Mr. Anderson's unexpected donation. She remembered the warmth in his eyes and the faith he had placed in them. What if we also involve him in our updates? Having a prominent figure with us can inspire even more support. The room hummed with agreement, and they decided to send a thank you note and an update each week to their donors and local media. Ella's mind filled with images of bustling cafes and kids playing, the laughter echoing in her ears. They could do this. They really could. As the evening wore on, they closed the meeting with a renewed sense of unity. Families left the center, their spirits high, and Ella felt a glow of satisfaction. Just as she turned to leave, a gentle hand landed on her shoulder. It was Mrs. Jensen, her wise eyes shining. "Ella, you've ignited something special here. Just remember, it's okay to ask for help even when you feel overwhelmed." Ella nodded, her heart full. "I will. Thank you." But just as she stepped out, her phone buzzed in her pocket. It was an email. With trembling fingers, she opened it, breath hitching in her throat. It was a donation request from a large corporate sponsor. The amount was staggering. But the email also outlined expectations, meetings, and deadlines. Her heart raced. Could she really handle this? Did she have what it took to lead not just her friends and neighbors but others from outside their community? As Ella stood there, uncertainty swirling in her mind, she clutched her phone tightly, feeling the weight of the moment. What if this was the tipping point? Would she rise to the challenge or retreat in fear? Ella stood outside the community center, her heart pounding in her chest as she stared at the bright screen of her phone. The email from the corporate sponsor was still fresh in her mind. A part of her wanted to run back inside, to share the news, but doubt kept her rooted to the spot. Could she juggle the expectations of the larger organization while still tending to her grassroots supporters? She took a deep breath, willing herself to move. Each step felt heavy, yet she pushed through the fog of anxiety settling around her. As she entered her home, the chaos of her thoughts began to fade, replaced by the familiar warmth of her family. Her younger brother, Max, was sprawled on the living room floor, surrounded by crayons and construction paper. "Ella! Look what I made!" Max announced, his proud grin stretching from ear to ear. He held up a construction paper drawing of a playground, complete with swings, slides, and smiling kids. "That's amazing, Max. Can I hang it up?" she asked, her heart lightening at his enthusiasm. "Yeah. Right on the fridge." He scrambled to his feet, bouncing on his toes. As she taped the drawing up, Ella's mind wandered back to the playground project. What if Max's innocent vision became a reality? What if they managed to create a space where children could run free and explore? She felt a flicker of hope amidst her fears, but it was fragile. Dinner with her family was filled with laughter and stories, a welcome distraction. However, Ella couldn't shake the thought of the email's demands. How would she coordinate all of this? She excused herself after the meal, retreating to her room, the door creaking softly behind her. Sitting at her desk, she opened her laptop and began crafting a plan. She knew she had to accept the sponsor's conditions, but she also wanted to keep her community involved. It was important that the people who first sparked this dream felt included every step of the way. Hours ticked by as she typed out her ideas, from establishing a collaborative timeline to weekly team check-ins. She imagined tentative smiles and enthusiasm at the next community meeting. Ella could see how they would celebrate every small victory as much as the big ones. Yet, lurking in the back of her mind was the question, what if she failed to deliver? With hesitant fingers, she glanced at the draft of her response to the sponsor. "I accept," she typed, but even as she wrote, a sick twist in her stomach made her second guess. Suddenly, her phone buzzed again, shattering her focus. It was a message from Adam. "Hey! Ready for coffee tomorrow? We need to plan our next steps." Her heart surged. Adam always knew how to lift her spirits. Maybe she could share her worries with him. "Sure. I need your help," she replied. The next morning, nerves twisted in her gut as she waited at the cafe. When Adam walked in, a bright smile on his face, it felt as if the weight of the world eased just a little. Over steaming cups of coffee, they hashed out ideas and strategies. Adam's enthusiasm poured over her, kindling the confidence she'd been lacking. As their conversation picked up momentum, Ella felt the hesitation loosening its grip. Together, they mapped out their agenda. With Adam by her side, the mountain didn't seem so insurmountable anymore. Yet just as she began to believe in the plan, a message notification popped up. It was from an unknown number. Ella opened it hesitantly. The message read, "I heard about your playground project. I'd like to meet." Her heart raced as her mind spun with possibilities. Who could it be? What were their intentions? Could this be the unexpected help she desperately needed, or another complication altogether? The thrill of uncertainty buzzed in her veins as she considered her next move. What if this meeting changed everything? Ella sat in the cafe, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee swirling around her as she stared at her phone. The words of that mysterious text echoed in her head. Who could it be? Was this person someone who genuinely wanted to help, or just a passerby looking to cash in on an idea? Hey, you okay? You look deep in thought, Adam said, nudging her gently. His eyes sparkled with curiosity. Yeah, just received a strange message about the playground project, she replied, her voice wavering a bit. Someone wants to meet. What? That's exciting. Do you know who it is? He leaned in closer, his enthusiasm infectious. No idea, just an unknown number. The whole thing feels weird, she admitted, biting her lip. Part of her craved the support, but another part feared the unpredictability of it. Why not text them back? Ask who they are. You've got nothing to lose, Adam encouraged, placing his hand on hers reassuringly. I guess you're right. She took a deep breath, her pulse quickening. With shaking fingers, she typed out a quick response, "Who are you?" As she hit send, Adam changed the topic to their brainstorming session. With every idea he pitched, Ella's uncertainty started to slip away. They were firing off names for potential areas of the playground. How about a splash pad? Kids love water. He exclaimed, and Ella found herself laughing. They were caught up in dreaming when her phone buzzed again. Ella's heart leaped. It was a response. Hi Ella, my name is Sarah. I'm a CEO at a local business specializing in community initiatives. I heard about your playground project and I'd love to chat. I think we could collaborate. Ella blinked. A CEO? This could be huge for their project. The worry that had settled in her gut suddenly morphed into a fluttering excitement. This is big, she said, her voice steadying. I think so too. You should meet, Adam replied, his eyes wide with possibilities. Set a time that works for you. Ella paused, her mind racing again. What if she expects something I can't give? This project is so close to my heart, and I don't want to disappoint anyone. Just be honest. If you're authentic, she'll appreciate it. Besides, you've got a vision. Let her know how she can help. His confidence lent her strength. She felt the anxiety dissipating, replaced by cautious optimism. After a moment of deliberation, she typed back, I'd love to meet. When are you available? As they arranged to meet later in the week, Ella realized she had a chance to bring her dream closer to reality. Hope surged through her as she thought about the possibilities. Maybe Sarah could provide the resources they so desperately needed. Together, perhaps they could create something amazing. But as her excitement bubbled to the surface, she was suddenly struck by a new wave of fear. What if she wasn't ready for this? What if all of this attention overwhelmed her? Adam must have sensed her hesitation. Ella, this is what you wanted, right? Support for the project? Just take it one step at a time. Right, one step at a time, she echoed, trying to center herself. Later that evening, as Ella lay in bed staring at the ceiling, a mixture of excitement and trepidation filled her thoughts. What would Sarah think? Would she share the same dreams for the playground? But the most pressing question remained, what if this meeting was the breakthrough she'd been hoping for, or would it tear at the fragile strands of her vision? The clock ticked softly, and with each passing second, Ella felt the weight of anticipation settle in. Her heart raced, and she had a feeling that her life was about to take a turn she hadn't expected. Would this new connection lead to triumph, or would it unravel everything she'd worked for? As Ella's eyes fluttered closed, the thrill of uncertainty wrapped around her like a warm blanket, and she wondered if she was truly ready for the challenges ahead. Ella arrived at the cafe with a mix of nervousness and excitement bubbling inside her. The sun poured through the windows, casting a warm glow on the space. She spotted Sarah already seated at a table near the back, scrolling through her phone. Dressed in a navy blazer, the CEO emanated confidence. Taking a deep breath, Ella approached the table, her heart pounding in rhythm with her footsteps. Hi, Sarah. she said, trying to keep her voice steady. Sarah looked up, her smile instantly making Ella feel a little lighter. Yes. You must be Ella. I'm so glad we could meet, she said, gesturing for her to sit. Thanks for agreeing to this, Ella replied, sinking into the chair across from her. The chatter of other customers filled the air, but in that moment, it felt like they were in their own bubble. I've read a bit about your playground project. It sounds amazing and so needed in the community, Sarah began, leaning in with interest. Tell me all about it. Ella launched into her vision, the words pouring out as she described her ideas for climbing structures, sensory paths, and picnic areas. Sarah listened intently, nodding as Ella spoke. For the first time in a while, Ella felt heard and valued. So, what's holding you back? Sarah asked, her eyes sparkling with genuine curiosity. Ella hesitated, then shared her fears about funding and managing the project. I guess. I worry that I can't make it all happen. What if I let everyone down? The vulnerability in her voice surprised even her. Sarah considered this for a moment and then said, You are passionate, and that matters. But let us talk about how we can support each other. If your heart's in it, you'll make it work. My company has resources to help with logistics, and we could look at partnerships for fundraising. What do you think? Hope ignited within Ella. This wasn't just an opportunity, it felt like a lifeline. Really? You think you could help? She asked, a hint of disbelief in her voice. Absolutely. We've done similar projects before. I love giving back to the community, Sarah replied, her enthusiasm palpable. As they discussed potential plans, the cafe atmosphere seemed to fade away. They mapped out ideas on napkins, laughter spilling out as they joked about the wildest features for the park. Ella could hardly believe how easy it felt to work with Sarah. Every time Sarah smiled, Ella felt a little more confident. But then, reality kicked in. What happens when someone says no? Or what if a setback happens? I can't keep failing. The doubt whispered like a shadow creeping back into her mind. Sarah leaned back slightly, her expression serious. Failure is part of the journey. Every project has bumps. It's how you respond that matters. Each challenge is a chance to grow, both personally and for the project. Ella absorbed Sarah's words, feeling the weight of responsibility but also the promise of teamwork. This meeting was transforming her doubts into excitement, but could it really hold together when they faced obstacles? Hours passed, and as the two exchanged contact information and promised to meet again, Ella felt a newfound trust in her vision. But as she walked away, the questions crowded in. Was she ready to risk everything? In the weeks to come, this partnership could push her beyond her limits. But what if it demanded more from her than she was willing to give? As Ella stepped into the vibrant sunlight, the warmth washed over her, mingling with her growing fears. This was just the beginning, but could she face whatever was around the corner? With anticipation prickling in her chest, she took a deep breath, knowing she had a chance to make a real difference. But would she have the strength to see it through to the end? The day had finally arrived. Ella stood in front of the towering entrance to the new playground, her heart a whirlwind of emotions: excitement, pride, and disbelief. The swings gleamed in the sunlight, and laughter echoed, cascading like music through the air. Just weeks ago, this had been only a dream she dared to voice, and now it transformed into reality. Families gathered, children darting in and out of bright-colored structures. Ella's heart swelled. It wasn't just about a playground, it was a symbol of change, a beacon of hope. She spotted Mr. Thompson and Sarah among the crowd, their smiles wide and infectious. It was a moment of true unity. That's the slide I helped design. Adam called out, excitement bursting forth as he and Ella made their way through the jubilant throng. His words stirred Ella's own sense of ownership in the project. Everyone had contributed, their ideas stitched together like pieces of a quilt. Ella climbed up to the center of the playground structure, her heart racing with every step. Standing tall, she looked out at the scene before her, kids swarming over slides, mothers and fathers chatting, laughter merging into a symphony of joy. Just when she thought her heart might burst from happiness, she lifted her voice, amplified by the speaker system. "Hello, everyone. I'm Ella. Thank you for being here today to celebrate this amazing playground." The crowd turned, and excitement sparked in their eyes. Her voice wavered slightly, but she pressed on, fueled by infectious energy. This playground is more than swings and slides. It's about community and dreams. It's about a future. A cheer erupted, and she could feel their collective spirit lift her higher. As she scanned the faces below, Ella's gaze locked onto Sarah. The CEO nodded encouragingly, her eyes filled with warmth. Ella felt a rush of gratitude. Sarah had not only come through with finances but had also ignited the fire of confidence within. Moments like this, filled with purpose, were what she had hoped for. Behind her stood her mother, Sarah, with tears of joy shining in her eyes. Ella knew her hard work had been worth it. As the festivities carried on, games, treats, and music, a group of children gathered around, breathless from play. "Can we play on the big swing next?" one child exclaimed, eyes sparkling. "Of course. That's the best part." Ella beamed, encouraging their excitement. It was as if the pure joy of childhood flowed through each swing and slide, whispering back stories of dreams and laughter. Later, as dusk settled, Ella found herself sitting on the cool grass under the playground's canopy. Mr. Thompson and Sarah joined her, their expressions reflective. "You did it, Ella," Mr. Thompson said, pride blooming in his voice. "You brought this community together." "Thank you for believing in me," she replied, her voice catching in her throat. "But I couldn't have done it without both of you." Sarah smiled. "Your bravery inspired us all. You showed everyone that change is possible when we dream together." Ella felt the warmth of their support around her, a reassuring hug that fanned the embers of her spirit. The moment hung in the air like a promise. Reflecting on how far she had come, Ella realized that this was just the beginning. The hurdles had transformed her into a leader, unearthing a bravery she had never known before. "I can't wait to see what we do next," Ella said, eyes sparkling with promise. They shared a knowing smile, a connection forged in shared dreams and a commitment to something greater. "Whatever it is, we'll face it together," Sarah replied, echoing Ella's thoughts. The stars began to twinkle overhead as families gathered for one last group photo in front of the playground, united and smiling. Ella squeezed her friend's hands, not wanting to forget this moment, the laughter, the hope, the triumph. And as the flash went off, capturing their joy, Ella knew deep down that their dream wasn't just about a playground, it was a testament to the power of community, courage, and the heartfelt belief that together, they could achieve anything. Though life would undoubtedly present new challenges, they had already built something beautiful. Their dreams were no longer just whispers in the night but a living reality shining bright for all to share. Now, it's time for you to grab that inspiration. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that can transform your world. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and let the positivity flow. Comment below to share your reactions and feelings about this incredible ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to feel this transformation. Remember, only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Join us in celebrating dreams.